Scouting the League. Neil Stratton and I are in the flesh together. Day 2 of the 2025 Personnel and Recruiting Symposium brought to you by Teamworks here in Nashville. Just wrapped up with our final session of the day. Now is networking time. We'll call it that, wherever people end up on Broadway in Nashville. Perhaps having a few beverages, hopefully making good decisions tonight. A big part of, really every session that we've been at has been that networking piece, which is a huge part of this industry. Whether you're in pro, whether you're in college, networking is huge. So make sure you network with us. Go like, subscribe, follow us wherever you're at. Neil is at Inside the League on X. I am at RightStepADV. Make sure you're following us, checking out everything we do, no matter where it's at, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, over on YouTube, or check out our home over at ProFootballInsiders.com. So with all of that wrapped up, again, really good sessions yesterday, a number of good sessions today, some better than others. It was really packed in today. Today was the big day for all these sessions and everything, and I thought there were some really, really good pieces, and I thought it kicked off really well. Neil, you and I were at the ADs for Christ session, first thing in the morning, a little bit smaller crowd at that one, but I thought was a great way to kick off the day and put the day and what we do into focus. Both of us, that's our Christian faith, that's our relationship with Jesus, and had a we'll call it a sermon that brought in by a group that, again, really caters to and ministers to those in sports across the college landscape primarily. Something that, again, it has to be a big part of it. And again, I thought it was really good. The focus points, the priority points, and again, everything that they brought to the table was a really, really good way to start off the day.
Yeah, it's like you start your day with quiet time, and that's kind of, I guess, an extension of that to some degree. We're not athletic directors, but they still invited us. There weren't a lot of people there. There was a good group, it was great to network with those people who you have a really important bond with. And I got to tell you, I mean, giving Alex Self some credit from I guess he's from, where is he now? Was it? What an incredible prayer.
Yeah,
and just sitting at our table and bragging on him because he was sitting at our table, just another brother in Christ who did an incredible job. But everything about it was fun. Everything about it was great. It was very inspirational, but also challenging. And I think that's sometimes hard to find these days. When you're in a spiritual setting, sometimes people don't want to make any waves or offend anybody, and I get that, but at the same time, we're going to grow and we got to be challenged. So it was great. I thought it was really helpful. It wasn't really long, 45 minutes or thereabouts. But I mean, I'll definitely be back. I'll be back here next year, and I'll be at that event as well. So
yeah. And again, some of the stuff that they hit on at that session were talked about in different ways, but you can bring it back, core values and having a common bond. Again, there's always that that piece of it, that faith piece that you can open up and again talk about your core values. Is Christ's followers, your core values again are coming right from the script, or coming from what we believe in. So it's a great way to stop. From there, again, we had some outstanding speakers. We heard from former agents. We heard from scouts directly. We heard from a number of college GMs, directors of player personnel. They really tried to have some more interactive sessions. It wasn't just get up on stage, listen to speakers, have some directors, which again was probably better suited for some sessions than others. But again, heard from some really good people, again, both on the college side, the NFL side. Again, guys like Ted Monago that I've been on the road with. It's been a good scout for the Rams for a long time. Taylor Morton with the Rams. Brian Chesson. We heard from guys with the 49ers.
Josh Williams with the 49ers. Kathleen Wood with the Browns. I mean, the list goes on and on about NFL evaluators that are here. And I think that really speaks well of what they're doing here, that many people are coming in to meet. And I mean, you can't argue with the numbers. We've talked about it already. I think 1,100 people, the fire marshal made them cut off registration. They're kind of pretty much at max capacity. So, yeah, a lot of people here. I'm telling you, a lot of great agents here, a lot of great personnel people here, a lot of great scouts here, a lot of great media types here. It's just, this has really become kind of a hub for this time of year when it comes to the industry.
Yeah, and you go throughout these sessions, and a lot of it, maybe not new information, but always good to just drive home again, the cliches, if you want to call them, the information, again, what do you want to do? If you want to get a job in the NFL, work hard. Like that was hammered home over and over.
Yeah.
Be where your feet are at. Do really, really well at the job you're at. Don't be looking over at the next position. Don't be trying to do too much. Again, responsibility over salary. All those things that, again, we talk about them on this podcast. Our guests talk about them when they come on. Again, maybe nothing groundbreaking for a lot of people here, but it is always good to, again, if you want to call it, go back to the fundamentals of what this game is. Be a good person, work really hard, be trustworthy, be dependable, and you will find a way to eventually crack it and make it in this industry.
I think I heard "be where your feet are" in at least 3 different sessions. So that's something that everyone, I think, really is trying to focus on. But at the end of the day, I know speaking of cliches, it is a people business, and if you're here, you're making relationships and making acquaintances and renewing relationships that you can't if you're not here.
Yep.
And I think at CGSU, we preach bet on yourself. I think if you want to work in this business, if you want to work in personnel, if you're working for an NFL team, you better bet on yourself. And that starts with coming out and being here and talking to others and kind of taking a risk, extending yourself and hoping that you make relations that are lasting. I know that both of us have benefited kind of from that approach in the past. And so I applaud everyone who's here for that very reason, because a lot of them are coming because they've got someone paying their bills, but other people are coming on their own dime and they're making it. They've got other places they could be, but here they are, and I applaud them.
Yeah. So we talked about, again, those points that, again, were driven home that we already knew. We also maybe had a couple, we'll say surprising or maybe revelations or predictions that were maybe a little surprising. Again, with the pure number of college staff here, you've seen how big this event has gotten. Again, basically doubling from last year. A big part of that could be because all these college staffs have grown so much. And again, there's really been this anticipation that, hey, college front offices, college personnel departments are going to grow. We're going to have an NFL junior model. But we had a speaker tell us this weekend, not so fast, my friend, to quote Lee Corso. He's predicting these college staffs, again, we're going to see a little bump, we're going to see a bubble, and they're going to regress back. Were you surprised by that? Is that something that you're hearing from somewhere else, or do you think that's going to be the future?
Well, it only makes sense. I appreciate the candor. It's difficult to be in this room and know that maybe fewer people will have a job in this game because of revenue sharing. I mean, let's call it what it is. You got to raise $20.5 million. It's got to come from somewhere. Very often it's from people that are on staff. I think you were at the table when I was talking to someone. The general belief is it's going to come from the creative side first, but it may come from other areas. And I think, especially if you're trying to work in this business, I think you have to look at it as an opportunity. If you're a volunteer, if you're on the low end, and you're willing to come in and work and pay your dues, then that benefits you, because ultimately the cream rises to the top. But at the same time, for those people who are trying to get there, and maybe they're on those bottom rungs and they're not progressing the way they want to, hopefully they're not victims of where we are, of NIL and the payments that are part of playing now. But again, that's the kind of candor that you want to hear, and it's the kind of candor that I appreciated, and I think that people have to know that. And I mean, it doesn't help anyone to just blow sunshine and hope that that everything's going to be great. This is the real world, and we have to be mature about it.
Yeah. Again, college programs, college athletics departments are all going to change because of what's happening in football, and again, to a certain degree, basketball. We talked about it from an NFL scouting perspective. There's no salary cap for NFL scouts, and again, maybe we'll call it for Power 4 schools, the balance won't come down, or the pendulum won't swing quite so far back. But again, you can certainly see it for Group of 5, some of these teams that have really relied on the transfer portal. Again, talked to a P4 GM just a few minutes ago, talked about 82 players, full staff change, so you lose 82 players in the massive shift. You've got to have people and resources for that. So again, we'll all see it come back to balance, just like with NIL, with payments, with salaries. All of it's going to come back to balance. again, maybe some schools will have to make some of those tough decisions, keep working where you're at and keep doing those right things. Again, everything will take care of itself. And then, the surprising thing is we're finishing up today. We get a a panel of 3 now college GMs that had pro experience. And again, a lot of questions. Hey, working on the pro side, as a pro scout, college area scout versus working for a college program, it was a much rosier picture for college program job stability, pay, maybe work-life balance. Again, I think they got a little bit into the weeds there with that answer. But again, for so many that talk to you, that talk to me, that aspire to be in personnel, it's the NFL. I want the NFL, and you kind of think about everything through that scope. I'm going to take these steps to make it to the NFL. And yet we had 3 people that have done both basically say, hey, without saying it, the college is a better spot to work.
Well, there's a growing number of people that are on the college side right now that are reconsidering their lifetime goals. It was always NFL bust for them, but now they're seeing a little bit more stability on the college side. They're getting paid a lot better. It's a compelling argument. I spoke to a guy who just took an SEC personnel job, NFL background. He said he interviewed with 12 teams for similar roles. 6 of them attached his job to the head coach, 6 of them attached to the AD. If you're attached to the AD, that's a much less, generally speaking, a much less volatile place to be than head coach where, you lose 2 games in a row and everyone's clawing for your head. So if that becomes the standard and we're not seeing the personnel side change out every time we see a head coaching change, and I think there's reason to believe that'll happen because as there's less money out there and more that's going towards NIL, there's less ability to just eat contracts and do all those kind of things. If we see more stability, then it's a compelling argument to stay on the college side. Why not? I mean, you're working in football, you're working with kids. Maybe the recruiting rigors are difficult. Maybe you're dealing a lot more with parents, and I get all those things, but at the same time, you're still following your life's goals in a you're a professional, even if it's not necessarily technically professional football.
Yeah, it's the balance, and we heard it again. We're all expecting the college football to come back to normalization at some point. That's when everything will start to come into balance again. When that is going to be is anybody's guess. And again, how long it takes to get there. And then ultimately, what does that model look like? That would be the one pitch. Again, multiple people said it. The NFL, you can set your calendar, you can set your clock, you can do all these things. It's very predictable. Again, not a lot is changing in the NFL. So again, if there is that piece, if you were to make the pitch for the NFL, there's certainly more known in that department. But again, we're all waiting for the other shoe to hit. And again, that wasn't talked about a lot, at least in the sessions I was in. Again, there are so many questions. Every conversation we have is when college football comes to normalization, when this happened, when this settlement gets completed, when we have, again, who knows when that's going to be. Mm-hmm. But between now and then, we're going to see people longing, working, trying to be in personnel. Again, we're heading out here after we get done with this podcast and network and continue to talk to people in the industry, the people Absolutely. That, make this podcast worth doing. And again, we love hearing from you guys. I've heard from a bunch that, I recognize your voice. Oh, you're the podcast guys. Like, I guess so. We've got a face for radio. Again, listen to the audio only. If you want to see what we look like, go over to listen to YouTube. But again, it's really good. Love our followers. Again, we got some really dedicated ones. It's been really good to meet in person, Absolutely. Which is, again, that's a big part of being here is the networking. If there's nothing else that we take away from here, it's been that networking piece. So if you're still around, if you're listening to this night, I'll be here tomorrow. Neil, you fly out about noon tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be here in the morning.
Don't be chasing Neil to the airport. Again, he'll probably ignore you to get through security. But again, follow us, DM us, find out wherever we are at. Again, tune in tomorrow. I have a really fascinating conversation with Stuart Jenkins, who is changing the insole game. Yes, insoles, football, all he's doing to manage turf toe, to manage stress, to manage load. Again, NFL teams are buying in. The MLB has already really bought in with a couple big name players. Really, really good conversation with Stuart Jenkins. We'll probably maybe throw up a video, have some updates, a couple light sessions for us tomorrow. But again, make sure you're checking everything out. Check out Twitter for all the updates, highlights. Neil, any message you leave?
Just if you're
people
still
with
here,
today?
if you're here, please say hi. We again, just like Roderick has already said, and I'm reiterating here, we love to hear from you. And even if you got some negatives, or you've got suggestions, or you got ideas, we're all ears. We certainly don't have all the answers. We don't have maybe any of the answers, but we're trying. So we can try even harder and do a little better if we hear back from people that are listening to our podcast. So please join us. Please say hey. Let's swap business cards. Let's make sure we follow each other on Twitter. We try to be very relational here, and it starts with what we're doing out here and being here. So,
Yeah, again, I think I've got 5 or 6 new numbers. I've got several written down that I got to get punched in the phone. Again, that's the fantastic thing about being here. So if you're here, come find us. Check out the podcast tomorrow. If you're driving home, if you're flying home, tune into that one. Download it with Stuart. It's going to be out about 10 o'clock in the a.m. I believe it's set for Eastern time, so we're here in the Central time, maybe a little bit earlier. So enjoy it. Again, we love doing this podcast. We love hearing from you. So wherever you are at out there, make sure you give us a follow, and then all you do, keep on scouting.
Hope to see you out there.